Hey everyone, this is More Than Just Trucks, a podcast for gearheads, truckers, and anyone who wants to learn more about the trucking industry. This podcast is sponsored by Truck Country and Stoops-Freightliner. Come along with me as we dive deeper into what makes this $700 billion industry an essential part of all our lives. Here, we will interview industry leaders, educators, and more as we aim to inform the population on all things trucking. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another show of More Than Just Trucks podcast. I'm your host, Ray Clark, and on today's show, we're going to talk about how DTNA, Daimler Trucks of North America, for those of you who don't know, it's kind of mothership of Freightliner, how they put into play, they have some really good technical training programs with schools out there. And on our show today, our guest is Mike Mallett, DTNA Manager of Technical Training Programs. Welcome, Mike. How are you today?
Great. Thank you, Ray. Doing well. Doing very well. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. This is, I've talked in multiple podcasts, but this is kind of near and dear to my heart, really, with the getting kids invested in our schools, in the industry. And you guys have some really cool things. So give us, what exactly is your role with the training programs? What do they have out there? What do you do with that?
I'd say the biggest thing is the technician recruiting, retention, rewards. So anything focused around our technicians. And, school programs have been a strong one. Once people are within our dealership network, we try to get them some swag out there and some goodies and host a tech competition to get some fun competition going, as well as some nice rewards out to them. So anything technician focused, really.
Nice. And, when you sit back and look at that, and I know a lot of other OEMs, manufacturers, I'm sure have some partnerships with schools and stuff, but I guess to this, maybe because I live in the Freightliner world, but man, it's cool that they built a position for a person like yourself to really promote all of this in there and keep it moving forward. And like you said, I think you hit it pretty good on recruiting, right? I mean, we look back and right now, got some stats that I just recently heard, and there's 50,000 in the industry. So that's in the technician field itself. There's 50,000 employees leaving a year. 42% leave in the first 2 years. So there's some crazy stats out there. As everybody knows, our needs right now is a huge push to get technicians into this field or get people into this field. And like I said, so with that, what are some of these training programs that DTNA offers?
The first one is Finish First, and that's a 12-week program that Universal Technical Institute teaches that focuses on our product. And so after a student's gone through their core diesel program at UTI, we've got that 12-week program that's more of a deep dive into our product, our literature, our diagnostic equipment, and really gives students coming through getting that elective, a lot more marketable out to the dealer and distributor realm for Freightliner-Western Star and Detroit product. And so that's been a really strong one. We've got a campus in Avondale, Arizona through UTI, and then Lisle, Illinois is the second one. And just this earlier this week, a third campus opened in Orlando, Florida. Sorry, the campus existed, but they took on the Finish First program. And so those have been really strong. I would say more for like the geographically local students. So, it pulls in from multiple states, I'd say within the area. And then those students tend to gravitate towards home. And so it's been good and strong in those regions. People have branched out from there, but again, regionally, I think those are the strongest. And that's been a good solid program with us. UTI does a great job running that.
Nice. So is it just UTI that does that for the Finish First?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Finish First is only through UTI and those three campuses that they have.
So UTI and most colleges or tech schools and trade schools, I mean, they have some seat sizes and class. How many guys usually do you see come into the Finish First class? How many do you open the door to?
It's usually 12 to 15 for head count for a class size max. And then they've got sometimes, like in Arizona right now, they're running pretty full throttle. So they've got a morning class and then also an afternoon class. And so they're churning through lots of students. And I think you hit it with the first couple years, if we can get people in, got to really mentor, guide, onboard them correctly, show them a career path, because that's the first 2 years is really critical. So Finish First gets them some certifications and some DTNA product knowledge and whatnot. But, still, once they get in the door to dealership or any first job, making sure they're onboarded correctly is key. That's a big one.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I just listened to a webinar the other day, and that it's like mirrored of what you just said. And I know we're doing it with our truck country and our Stoops. We just put it into play here, and we're really trying to drive it home and keep it going, is that coaching program. So just like you said, right? And this is where it hits home, is that you can train somebody no matter what, as much training as you give them, but it's that support back on the floor, that day-to-day functional operation, like you said, that's going to keep them there. I don't know if you've seen it, but I know we've heard it in the past that, a 2-year guy or a year and a half, even with some certifications under his belt. And sometimes it's looked at like, oh, why don't you know this? Why don't you know this? It's like, whoa, we got to step back a little bit and think that, yeah, they're certified and they have some training. They still lack the experience. That's that support on the floor, that coaching, mentoring, apprenticeship programs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those that it takes a long time to be really ingrained in your field. And it doesn't matter what field we're talking about. Just because you went to school, or just because you went to college, or just because you got a, training on or this or that, there's a lot of complexity to these trucks and engines, and it's changing at such a rapid pace. And, a technician's the key critical role in that dealership. I mean, there's a lot of others that all come together to support that, but the breadth and depth of knowledge that technicians today need to know is not anywhere what it was 5 or 10 or 20 years ago.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I kind of give a little example when I recruit at schools and stuff. And, it's like even a lube tech guy, a general PM guy, still can plug into a truck and run light checks. So he's at a very low certification level, start out, and he's still running, in a sense, diagnostics through a laptop by doing light checks through the system. So yeah, they've come a long ways from just straight up nuts and bolts to a lot of electrical and technology now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got a note here, and it says you've got some scholarships through TechForce.
Yeah, so TechForce, they've been really strong at promoting the industry, helping support technicians, and getting scholarships, getting sponsorships if they're having some issues, maybe just with being able to pay general funds and rent and stuff like that. So we've partnered with them, and that's been going on for probably 15 plus years, and they administer scholarships. And so, yeah, if you're in the UTI Finish First program and going towards that path, you can apply for a scholarship and help offset a bunch of those funds.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, they're great to work with. They're a real promoter.
That's what I was going to ask. So for all you techs out there, if you listen to this and you are in the Finish First program, be aware, because there is some funding assistance out there through TechForce and some scholarships. So that's nice that you guys have partnered up and found a place like that with them. So yeah, they're doing great. And the other thing I want to mention is, so a lot of people probably ask, well, do I need, if I'm in UTI, and what are the advantages of Finish First? What does that get me?
So the elective programs, and there's other OEMs that run them as well, but once you've gone through your core diesel program, having that kind of icing on top of the cake of an elective program, gets you more in-depth training, more focused on probably where you want to go work. And so that to me is key. It goes from general program to something more focused. And that's been real strong for us. And the one thing that I thought was really neat with Orlando coming on board with Finish First, that actually gave enough additional training weeks that now somebody coming through that program and graduating core as well as Finish First is getting their associates. It upped the amount of hours that they were able to obtain. And so that was a key piece to me there, is it gives that, graduating student just that little bit extra, which is a huge thing in life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so it's really kickstarting their certification levels. And for
Yep.
those of you, looking at that as a Freightliner dealer, it's like you've got some base training certification that's instructor led classes, kind of like Mike's been calling it, that core. For those of you who know how that works, is it's already started. He's done with it and stuff, and you can bring him on. And honestly, I mean, every Freightliner or student going out of that program, I mean, there's 900 plus in our network, right? I mean, you've got some opportunities from coast to coast, north and south.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime I talk to students or people interested in becoming a technician, I always focus on no matter where you go, you're going to find a location. You look at the size of our network and the amount of rooftops and the amount of variety of where you want to go live, boom, you'll find something there.
Yeah.
And like you see with truck country, people start on with you guys, and if they wanted to move to a different state, you guys have so much coverage that it's it's a real strong one as we get larger and larger dealer families. And anyway, it's a great industry to be in, and I think it's a pretty special time because there's almost people knocking on the students and graduates doors versus the other way around. I mean, it's a great time to get into this field.
Yep. And I want to back up. You mentioned the associate's degree in Orlando, Florida, and that is super because one of the things, I mean, I haven't lived it, but I have heard it that some parents really, and counselors in schools now really push students to that 4-year degree, right? Or a 2-year degree even. Yeah, you got to get an associate's degree or you got to get a bachelor's degree. I heard a stat the other day, a statistic from the Department of Labor, that the diesel tech is shown with a higher income than a bachelor's degree, and that most STEM skilled trades are paying much higher than bachelor's degree currently. So it's proven ground that, I guess I look back at myself. I probably was never meant to be even a 2-year guy. It's not me. And I think there's a lot of us out there that programs like this that we can turn around and really, I mean, as you know, the industry now and the pay scales in the diesel world is going crazy. So, I mean, if you got tools and can work with your hands and your mind now, you're going to make a really good living and have a minimal education expense in the background.
Yeah, certainly. It's one of those that you're in there getting educated and trained and up to speed, and you get out into the workforce a lot quicker, start making money, and there's just so many upsides to it that I think that associates is neat because, like you said, it can definitely help maybe convince that parent or counselor that, hey, this is a real direction in life. This isn't just something I'm doing because I wanted to avoid, longer schooling. And you get that associates, you might build upon it later. I mean, how many technicians in our area get to those next steps where they start looking at maybe, hey, I want to become an instructor trainer. Maybe I want to become a service manager, maybe a dealer principal. I mean, working your way up through the ranks is something that I see, real strong in this industry.
Yeah. I mean, and I will, I'll use my last 2 employments and mostly with truck country, though, how much we have promoted from within. We've got general managers that literally started in the wash bay up through. So, I mean, it is a really good industry. It's never going to go away no matter what. I mean, I don't know if you could think of some that have gone away in the past, but I don't think, I mean, you still got to get product from point A to point B, and it's not just going to always have an airplane or a drone to be able to carry this because it's way too heavy. So it's got to have some wheels underneath it with some power.
Everything moves by truck, right? Even if it's partial by rail or partial by boat, it's moving by truck, bigger or small truck, but it's definitely trucking. Yep.
So I know there's another one, Get Ahead. And before we jump into that Get Ahead program, where can people find out more about the Finish First and the Get Ahead? I believe there's a website out there, right?
Yes, it's trucktechs.com. So truck and then text with an S.com. And that covers our main different programs. So finish first, get ahead. And it has some highlights as to different job openings within our network. And so that links out to dealer distributor career pages, and then also become a tech. And that's some of the key reasons to get into this industry. And that could be something for, a student, or maybe if you're visiting schools and trying to promote to students, hey, here's some areas that you can kind of highlight some videos and key stats and career potentials. So that's a good area as well.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say I utilize that quite a bit myself, kind of just to keep. I guess I track a lot of the schools and see what's what in the area and stuff. So yeah, it's very informational. So again, any of you that are looking for more information with DTNA, trucktex.com. That's TRUCKTECHS, textplural.com. So very good. All right. So let's move on to the get ahead, because even that one to me is even more intriguing. It's got a broader perspective. I think you guys have done a really good job with that. And I think it opens the door even to larger opportunities.
Yeah, and that one really got born because, as I mentioned with the Finish First, it's strong in those geographic regions. But, you sometimes see folks that, go to school and they want to work local. And this is one of those where it's growing technical diesel schools in dealerships' backyards. And so awesome key points to this is it's free. There's no cost. There's no cost to the school. There's no cost to the dealership. And the partnership is critical. And so, it's kind of a three thing where DTNA, the school, and the dealership as the sponsor are working together. And the reason I think the dealer piece is so critical is they're the hiring entity. They're the ones local. They're the ones maybe doing on-site support out to the schools, interviewing students when people are coming to graduate, maybe providing technical support as well. And so that's a key piece, is having that partnership. As students go through this program, they're taking web-based training just like a technician would, and they're earning course credit. So a student can, that's really active in this Get Ahead program could get fairly close to being certified as they walk out that door and walk into a dealership. And so, they'll have to take a few more web courses and things, but they've got their web credentials down. And that's a huge perk for them for some product knowledge, as well as walking into your guys' door, closer to certification.
Yeah, I'm going to say, so if you're a Freightliner dealer and you've got a high school / community college or school student through the Get Ahead program, I mean, he's got his, like you said, the product knowledge alone is he's not coming into you so much green, and he's on his really the stepping stones for certifications.
Yeah. And it's, there's a lot of flexibility to this program, but those schools that are really adopting it and integrating it into their curriculum have been doing fantastic with it. So definitely helps the student, helps the dealers, because they're getting people that have, more product knowledge. Another piece of that, so we've talked web-based, and that's the core of what Get Ahead is. But in the last couple of years, we've also been trying to get more product out there. So actual hardware and Diagnostic Link is our software package for diagnosing trucks and engines. So the school gets some free licenses for that to be able to use that Diagnostic Link software, as well as connection back to our literature. So just because you have a truck and engine and diagnostic software, if you don't know the troubleshooting procedures, the service manual procedures, wiring schematics, things like that, you're not going to be very successful, because it's a complete package. And so they've also got access to technical information.
Yeah, nice. And that is good, because as we know that, I mean, you have to refer back to literature now. There's no way you're going to remember a troubleshooting step after step after step, or a torque spec, or a repair procedure and process. So that is good that, you've kind of opened the door just another notch or two there. And like I said, plus, I'll look back as a dealership side of it as service manager. I've got a guy that is going to take less training to initially get moving, so that if he's on the floor starting out and he's even being coached and shadowed, it's some less steps, he can be moving ahead of those other guys. So yeah, that is great.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So here's one of my plugs actually for the company, our company, Truck Country and Stoops. Not sure if you were aware of it, but recently in the past couple of years, I've been working at both training centers in Indianapolis and in Dubuque, Iowa, where we are partner with a local high school district and one of the local get ahead colleges. And we are now bringing in juniors and seniors, if we can, into their semester of diesel program in correlation with the get ahead and accrediting them college credits to move on. So they kind of have three avenues. So as they come in, we'll give them the diesel training, invest in them a little bit, right, with the get ahead credentials and program itself. And they can take that and go into the college itself if they want to after graduation. And hopefully we've earned their trust to want to come to work for us and take those credits and move on and get a finalized certificate, get a associate's degree, or really if they wanted to, they can just jump out in the great wide world and take that from there. But so both Stoops and Truck Country now have a high school program. So I kind of wanted to put that plug out there. We're working with Decatur Schoolship here in Ivy Tech in Indianapolis area, and then in Dubuque, Iowa, we're working with the Dubuque Community School District and NICC Community College. So it's kind of cool, like you said, that you guys have already kind of laid a path for us to grab a hold of and keep moving things forward.
Yeah, and I really gotta commend you guys for all that you're doing with this, because I'd say 95% of the get ahead schools are more post-secondary, but high schools are key, and we definitely have some of those signed up, and I'm really happy that you guys are involved with their that level, just because as a student going through learning what you want to do in life, if you can kind of get that interest and hook started sooner, they're going to be much more successful, right? They've got a career or a vision of what they might want to do in life, and get exposed in high school, do more of it post-secondary or straight out to the workforce. So yeah, high schools are key. I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing very much.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm going to say it was probably a good solid 3 years ago. The recruiter and I, Roger Skemp, took off to southern Wisconsin, I believe it was, and we actually stood in front of a sixth grade class. And when we set it up, everybody's like, "Are you guys crazy? I mean, like, what do you need to do?" And it's like, you know what? I had the best recruiting day I had ever had in my life sitting in front of that sixth grade class. And I think it was very welcome. The kids had a great time. You just bring some small props with you. And when I say that, I mean, I literally have a lawnmower piston, a Chevy small block piston, and an MBE 4000 piston. And you just bring stuff like that and give those kids something that they can reference and say, "Hey, yeah, this is like the piston. That's the engine that's inside your lawnmower." And then just keep growing it. And it's like, when you bring it to them, sometimes it's like you can see the kids that are like kind of already know that stuff because maybe they are, their dad's already technically involved in stuff or pretty, maybe it's his own garage shop or whatever that's doing things on the side. But I think to that point, you got to get into the schools and at least put the bug in their ear. They're never going to hear about it. We see so much with schools, unfortunately, because of financials removing part of our skilled trades, right? I mean, had wood shop and metal shop and stuff. And I don't think there's too many schools around there that are doing that any longer. And so that is a big push for me. And like I said, thank you to DT&A for kind of keeping this thing moving. So with Get Ahead, I'm college student A, and Freightliner web-based training is now available for me, right? So where do I find that? How's that school administer that?
Yeah, so the school can find more information on that trucktechs.com site, and basically that gets them into an online training portal, and they have access to essentially the same stuff you guys have on the dealership side. So a school administrator would sign up students within that, and that's where they would get some cross training from the dealership, since you guys do that on a daily basis, signing in new technicians and onboarding them. But yeah, that's where they would take different training courses. They can see what their transcript scores are. They can go through and take classes, and we have it chunked up in different categories based on heavy duty truck systems is kind of our first one, and that ends up being brakes and steering and some of the fundamentals of looking up literature. We get into electrical later, AC, HVAC later. So yeah, it's pretty streamlined when it comes to the school perspective, because we've really modeled it down to just what a technician and student need when it comes to taking that online course.
Nice. So all you Freightliner younger kids coming through school that love the Freightliner product, that's the plus, is now there's no more generic or generalized training. You have a path that you literally can take OEM specific Freightliner training. So that is cool. And for you instructors, I'm very familiar with ARC, and it's pretty easy. I mean, it houses everything from your own training to, like Mike said, a transcript, and you can see that path and what's due and what's not due and stuff. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Kind of recently we've been adding some instructor-led materials that are only viewable to the college instructors, so not the students, but we're giving them some of our exact materials that they can pick and choose and pull exercises up to to run on a truck or run on an engine, same as what our diesel dealerships are doing for students and technicians. So it's a pretty neat thing. We're trying to get more and more in there to support the instructor, since they're such a key piece in one, having that technical knowledge and background, but also helping share that with the student. So lots of stuff coming with Get Ahead.
Yeah, nice. And I mean, this isn't the only kind of fringe benefit that these guys get, is it?
No. So we've got some where we've started to rank the schools based on how many students are placing into the network, how many students they have, how many web courses are taken. And so it kind of ranks the schools amongst themselves. And those that start boiling to the top every year, for the last 3 years, we've offered out either discounts on used trucks, partnering with the dealership as well, and then also discounts on training aids. Like we have an M2 and a Cascadia dashboard. So it's got computers, it's got steering wheel, it's got instrument cluster, HVAC system, and you can power these up, connect diagnostic link to them, and go through and perform stuff just like you would on a truck. Same with live running engines. And so some of these higher end programs where the schools are really performing, they can get this stuff for a heavy discount. And that really brings the hands on, which is key. The main premise is web-based exposure, but the more they get hands on with current product is pretty key.
Yeah. And I'm going to encourage anybody that's listening out there to honestly, if you're have a diesel tech program in a school and you're not involved in the Get Ahead program, I would very much encourage you to go to trucktechs.com, find your local dealer out there, because I know on our standpoint, we have partnered with that, and we have a couple schools that we've done trucks with. So these schools now are getting fairly current model year trucks, current updated training aids, like you said, actual dashboards and the electronics and stuff, which is so crucial nowadays, versus, shall we say, kind of some older outdated ones. And again, it's not always based on the schools. It's not that the instructor doesn't want to do it. It's unfortunately based on monetary and financials, right? So
yeah. Yep. Budgets are tight, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have kind of opened it up, and this is awesome so let's recap on Get Ahead, right? So it's free to the school. It's free to students. It's free to the dealership distributor. I mean, Mike, where are the cons? I'm not.
I've had a few people kind of hesitate, going, well, I might take a look at that and, maybe get into that next year. And I'm not a salesperson. I'm on the service end. I say, try it, right? get signed up, get a sponsor, and try it and use it as you see fit. If you get in there and it helps supplement your curriculum, great. We've had some that, use little bits and pieces of it and are happy. We've got people that said, man, I was in line to redo my whole curriculum, and this helped me because I adopted so much more. So it's flexible. It's just, I see it as no risk, really. It's get in there, try it. It's an easy thing to sign up for.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're well over 12 to 15 different school attachments with us between Truck Country and Stoops. And I do know myself, I don't always get a chance to get out and say thank you to all those schools and stuff, because we are really got our fingers out there a lot. So definitely, man, if you're out there in a school going on right now and you're looking for that curriculum and that assistance, I think DTNA's got the door open for you for sure.
Yeah, come on in.
Well, excellent, Mike. Hey, I want to recap one more time on that, that with all these opportunities with Finish First, you've got UTI now coming up in a third location. So you've got some actually East Coast, West Coast, and Central regions area, in the States. You've got that core certification level coming in. You got scholarships to be able for kids to help push that through. You've got Get Ahead and stuff. So for those of you who think our industry is kind of just that greasy, grimy path and avenue of fixing trucks, trust me, any chance you get, check it out, trucktechs.com, go into and look at Finish First. And it's a great career, really. It is. I can't say enough about it. Like I said, these guys now are driving, heck, they're driving trucks sometimes nicer than my company vehicle. If you go through some of these dealerships and look at what the technicians are driving out there and stuff, and they make a really good living. Great avenue. And thank you, Freightliner, DTNA, Detroit, for really stepping up. And Mike, thanks for pushing those programs and helping people like us and other dealerships keep these things moving and keep this path of recruitment. Because like you said, one thing that I didn't mention and I saw in a note and it made me think right now was growing your own, right? And I think you can attest that I think when we say our own, meaning family wise, and it's not just Truck Country, it's not just Stoops. When I say grow your own in the industry, I'm talking the Freightliner family, the group that we all kind of live under as we have our career path kind of built for us, really. I mean, it's some good avenues.
Yeah, certainly. That's definitely we're trying to up the industry and support our partners, and definitely it's great to see students light up realizing that, hey, I've got a solid career path that can go a lot of different directions, and this helps me get my foot in the door.
Yeah. Mike, is there anything else? Did I miss anything on it?
No, I think you hit all the key points, and again, for students or for locations, onboarding is key. So if you're a student graduating and getting out into a dealership, and keep asking, hey, do you guys have a mentor for me? Do you have something to help me show where I'm going to be in the next 5 years? And really, if it's not being done from the dealership side, which commonly it is, have the student keep asking that, have the incoming technician ask that and help drive, where your career is going to be. And that's a key piece, right?
Yeah.
Getting over that 2 or 3 year hurdle. And, I felt that when I came into the industry, if I didn't have those that were mentoring and supporting me, I probably still wouldn't be here. And so I luckily had a good, strong foundation that helped me build upon staying in this industry. And I really enjoy it. So there's lots of places you can go with this.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned it, that you had a mentor, and that's kind of what helped you. Same with me. And a quick short story. In my early days, I was an automotive tech with Chevy dealers, and had an older gentleman at that point in time was our lead tech. As always, right back in the day, it's your most experienced senior tech he's that diagnostic tech. He's the one that's been around long, seen it all, been there, done that. And it's really cool. So a quick story. I mean, I think if you got one, share it, because it's kind of cool. You get your struggles, right? You're arm deep. You've been an hour, it's too long that you shouldn't even have been 5 minutes. And the guy like that walks over and he sees you struggling and he steps up to the plate and has no qualms whatsoever to roll his sleeves up. What are you working on? Let's take a look. And within seconds, oh, there it is right there. And he's got the problem fixed for you. And as he's walking away, he chuckles and looked back at me and he said, that's why I get paid the big bucks.
Yep. And it comes with experience, and having and being able to gain experience from others like that is key. And yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. And again, thank you guys for kind of starting that road to the experience and having these opportunities, not just for the students, but for schools out there also, and for our network, for our dealership. So again, thank you to that, and keeping these programs going. And we'll definitely be in conversation more as we keep moving forward. Some really good, like I said, some good thoughts. And the stats are overwhelming to think that we're losing 50,000 a year in our industry. And like you said, within the first 2 years, if we don't onboard them correctly, retention doesn't cost you anything but a return of interest, right?
Yeah. I mean, you go to all this work to recruit and bring people on. It's the work and effort's not done there, right? You gotta support them so they stay.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you, Mike. And thank you to all the listeners on today's More Than Just Trucks podcast, sponsored by Truck Country Stoops. We are one of the largest family owned and operated dealerships in the U.S. today. So again, for all your part sales and service need across the Midwest region, we cover 5 different states from Wisconsin all the way over to Ohio. Check us out at truckcountry.com. And again, Ray Clark at truckcountry.com for any of your podcast suggestions. And thank you for listening to our show today.
Thank you.